smile there as he realized that. I don't think he realized that bishop b6 was repeating for the third time.
Well, he can be happy about the repetition because he was careless in the opening, uncharacteristic of WesleySo, and Jeffery needs to punish him in those moments.
And you know what this reminds me of? When you offer draw in a dubious position and you're so nervous at like the anticipation that you get up and walk around, and then you come back and your opponent stopped the clock and accepted the draw. Yes. What a relief. And again, another Italian that sort of morphed into our Rai Lopez.
And Jeffery sitting and thinking here. And we've had this position before today, and maybe there's been a slight change. Instead of putting the bishop on a7, which he's done a few times, he plants his bishop on b6.
Yep. And I mean, I'm not going to pretend to understand these positions very well. The move a5 is obviously very, very committal, right? It weakens the b5 square. I think Hikaru introduced it to the larger audience, and I know Hikaru likes a5 in these types of positions, but man, knight f1, knight g3, d4. I just feel like White's got easier practical play here because
sometimes where Black goes queen b8, queen a7, but that sort of plays into your plan of going after the king side.
Yeah, no, and d5 for Black is very rarely feasible because of the weakness of the e5 pawn, as you're indicating, and there it is, queen b8. You call it the Rubinstein maneuver.
Yes, and well, this maneuver, it puts pressure on f2, but you're moving your queen away from the defense of the king side all the way over to the queen side, and that could just land you in hot water when White maneuvers the pieces over towards the enemy king.
Yeah, it looks cool, but doesn't achieve the desired effect. And Jeffery now down to 2 minutes. You can you can feel it in the air. The way that the confidence and the momentum has shifted.
Trying to think of, he goes queen a7, so play queen b8, you were trying to go queen a7, queen e2, I imagine.
Yep. And bishop e3, you feel like plays into Black's hands?
I feel like you won't get an attack at all for White, and yeah, then you can like play rook d8 as Black and rook b2.
Yeah, he's saving the dark squared bishop for a potential sacrifice on h6, which we've seen these kinds of ideas in their last game in this position. And now White is ready to play d4. Although maybe knight g6, d4, knight f4.
Plays rook d8. Is he going to take no d5?
And potentially e5, knight e4. That's kind of a typical pawn sacrifice.
And looks actually very promising for Black, because if you take, and there's the bishop d5 at the end to take on f3, the d4 pawn's in some trouble. I don't know if I'd allow the rook to g4, though.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. And if you play bishop f5, then maybe rook h4, but it all feels very, very loose for White.
So Wesley plays bishop e3. Have this knight on g3. I'll take back, doubling my pawns. Black can strike with c5. A knight f5 first.
I think he's going to do just that after bishop f2. There it is. This is great middle game play by Jeffery. He's definitely better here at this point, although the Ebel bar strongly disagrees.
Is there bishop c2 somehow? That's the one thing I'd be scared of. If bishop c2, queen d3, line them up for checkmate.
Oh, so for example, bishop c2, knight takes d4, and then maybe, okay, he's gone a completely different route here. He's gone g4. And maybe he just wants rook d2 or queen d3, bishop c2.
So he's going for this anyway.
But that's not dangerous. Black can go g6, and you're never going to be able to sack on g6. You don't have a knight anymore.
It's true. And I guess White can play rook d1, take on d4, things like that. But that seems that Black should not be unhappy about the ensuing endgame. It could be difficult with that isolated pawn, but you also might just stabilize.
You can also stick a rook on c4 and then just not leave, even if White plays bishop b3.
What if you go b3? Oh, then rook c3?
Well, then you sack the rook. No, just kidding. Yeah, rook c3 and then rook to e3.
You promised me you would never leave, Danya. You promised me.
I lied. Okay, so, I mean, what else is new? Okay, queen d2, massaging the king side. You got to watch out for d3, though.
That's right. But White's about to play bishop d3 and then bishop h4 and bishop f6.
Yeah, I love that. Changing of the guard. The queen is much more necessary on the king side. The bishop is perfectly fine as a blockader.
Didn't Jeffery just blunder some material? Because he went king
bishop
g7.
Takes d4 and bishop takes d4.
Is it rook d8, though, at the end?
Yeah, and the idea of bishop h4, bishop f6 is so tempting that I feel like maybe you start with rook f1 or something flexible. Yeah, queen f4. Again, it seems like black's position is close to collapsing.
Looks very bad for black.
Yeah, now maybe time for bishop h4.
Although g5, queen f6, definitely not. G5. There's still no bishop d8 either. I don't know what to do with the bishop of h4.
Rook f1 first.
Oh, bishop d8,
maybe
he allowed
that
it.
should not have been allowed. That was a big miss there.
Yes, and I'm just trying to look at Wesley's face. He didn't react, but you did not want to see that bishop come around here. Bishop g5.
I'm sure he reacted internally. Now black can get the queen out of the doldrums here. Ooh.
Just trading rook c1.
Now he reacted. It was a delayed reaction. And now black actually might be playing for the advantage here.
Yes, because
White's bishops have lost their support. Rook d1 is a huge threat.
And bishop f4 check if you're not careful. And if bishop c3, maybe d4 anyway.
This is a huge turnaround. 30 seconds now for Wesley. Bishop b6.
Okay, he's going after the a5 pawn.
H5. I think he wants h5, h4, and mate.
Wow. H4?
H4, bishop d2. Careful. That is a very audacious pawn sack by Jeffery
rook
in the
d1.
endgame.
Rook d1, bishop c2. So it was d4.
Now, bishop d2 anyway?
a2 is hanging, so he goes a3 first.
Yeah, Wesley's still playing for a win, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know who's playing for a win. Both of them?
Rook d1 and d3 is interesting.
Bishop e3
D1,
almost
bishop
works. Bishop
c4.
c4. He just wants to spring free his passed pawn.
Yeah, but I'm very skeptical of that. Oh, by the way, bishop d2, there's rook c2. That's easy to miss.
Yes. And d3 doesn't work.
Oh, close. Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. Maybe king g6, king f5.
Here that comes.
D3 now? No, it still doesn't work.
But if b3, king f5, right? Oh no, then rook takes e3.
Rook takes e3. Oh.
So rook c3.
Does black lose the pawn? Oh,
yes,
that's devastating. Now only white can win.
King f5, rook f6 takes. Oh, this could be bad.
Rook h7.
He's playing for win.
That's definitely
Wesley.
the pawn you want to take.
Rook b3 though. Just play it quickly.
Can black use that b pawn for counterplay? These are usually lost though. I feel like these endgames are usually not savable. No, but now g4.
Up.
G4.
He's going towards a queen side, which I wasn't expecting.
Okay, he wants the h pawn. No, this is not. He's not going to make it. The rook is blocking the pawn. H6 rook oh, maybe he will.
b3.
I'm surprised that Wesley pushed the h pawn rather than the g pawn. Rook f1.
That's winning.
And the typical plan is to give up the rook. Yeah, just h7 g5.
Push him,
and you're good.
In fact, you can't even stop the pawn because your king's in the way now.
King g4, king f5. Wait. Oh, that's cruel.
He got it the last second. And he wins. WesleySo was down 5 points and